Hello and welcome to Bahrain Now, your source of local initiatives, happenings, talents, and trends. I'm your host, Khalid Hidris, here to walk you through our exciting lineup of segments and personalities from around Bahrain. So stay tuned, we'll be right back. Start Up Bahrain is a national initiative designed to foster student entrepreneurship by helping them transform innovative ideas into actionable businesses. Powered by Temkeen, the program offers boot camps, pitch competitions, and mentorship for university students. And to talk more about that, we have with us here in the studio, Ms. Maram Murad, project lead at Start Up Bahrain. Hello, welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me here, Khalid.
It's a pleasure to have you back. Now, first of all, I'd like to start by asking you, entrepreneurship is a key pillar of Bahrain's competitive and sustainable economy. So how does Start Up Bahrain translate this national vision into practical support for entrepreneurs?
Of course, entrepreneurship is at the heart and soul of Bahrain's economic vision. So in our role as Start Up Bahrain, being the national platform for startups within the ecosystem, is to make sure that we transform this vision into something that is real and achievable by founders within the ecosystem. So whether that's through building this full pathway or building this infrastructure to make sure that founders or founders-to-be that are being introduced into the ecosystem go from an idea to building to scaling and potentially getting funding from our strategic partners like Temkeen or Mumtalakat. So I think that we're kind of laying the groundwork to make sure that this economic vision is something that can manifest into reality.
Wonderful, and you've mentioned this ecosystem quite a lot, so I want to ask you how that's evolved over the past few years and what kind of milestones are you most proud of?
Yeah, so Start Up Bahrain actually started back in 2013. It started as a digital magazine, it was Startup Magazine, and it was basically supposed to share different success stories of founders within the Bahraini ecosystem or the regional ecosystem. And over the years, we were powered by, for example, the Economic Development Board in 2017, and then we started a productive journey with Temkeen, the Labour Fund, starting in 2022. And through that, we were able to build different platforms, different programs that basically handhold founders within the ecosystem throughout every step in their entrepreneurial journey. In terms of what I think I'm most proud of as a milestone for Start Up Bahrain, Start Up Bahrain as a platform started as a platform that kind of shares success stories, but has now evolved to be the platform that creates these success stories and plays such a big role in so many entrepreneurship stories that we can now hear of.
And what kind of qualities have you observed, especially in Bahraini entrepreneurs, that kind of make them stand out in the field?
Bahrainis are known to be very entrepreneurial, and it's part of our Bahraini identity because we've always been pioneering and at the frontier of so many different industries historically. So I think it's the quality of being very proactive, kind of jumping into different kind of uncertain challenges or uncertain opportunities that rise up. So that kind of what makes the Bahraini founder and entrepreneur kind of stand out in all their accomplishments.
And what skills do you think that these entrepreneurs need in order to navigate the kind of like ever-changing kind of landscape of entrepreneurship, especially here in Bahrain?
I can go with the cliche answer of kind of being technically fluent with technologies like artificial intelligence, but beyond technical skills, it's just to continue being risk averse and jumping into these uncertain opportunities. Kind of what makes or breaks an idea and what actually takes it from an idea to an actual successful venture is being able to kind of take up that risk and what's really the worst thing that kind of can happen. So I think that's the quality that we see in Bahraini entrepreneurs, and we'll continue to see it.
And now I'm also curious about, like you've mentioned, for example, taking something from an idea into like an actual venture. What are kind of like how do you guys help these entrepreneurs basically bridge the gap between like an academic idea into a market-ready business?
Yeah, so I think that's something that we try to do with Start Up Bahrain UOB. You hear a lot of stories of successful startups always saying that, oh, this was an idea that started from when I was a university or a college student. And there's a reason why that's the case. I think what we're trying to do is make sure that we take the students beyond just the walls of a classroom to make sure that their ideas aren't confined to just a classroom or a traditional learning environment. So by giving them this hands-on, practical learning experience, we're able to tell them, like, this is the real thing. This is as real as it gets. So it's no longer just an academic project. You are genuinely building your startup. So it's more of kind of telling them that don't consider it to be just, for example, a participation in a university competition. It's something a lot more real than that.
Wonderful. That's a great mentality to foster. And how does Startup Bahrain support the founders kind of beyond funding? I'm particularly asking about like stuff like mentorship, networking, and kind of like access to the market.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people always think that funding is like the most important thing when it comes to building a startup, but it's rarely the most important thing. I think it all goes back to the community that we've also built as Startup Bahrain. You get access to all these different mentors and founders and entrepreneurs that have been there and already done that. So you start to become part of that community yourself, and I think a lot of students have kind of experienced that in the Startup Bahrain UOB program. They've met with other students that are trying to participate, and they might not know them, but they kind of came together on a single idea that they all agreed on. They all had the similar goal in mind. So they formed their teams with people that they don't know. Then they sat with mentors that they also didn't know, but are part of the Startup Bahrain community. It's very rare that we come across people within the community that aren't just, open to helping and mentoring these different early stage startups. So in all of our programs, for example, the previous one, we had around 40 plus mentors that have taken time out of their busy schedules to come in on a weekend, sit down with early stage startups to make sure that they're receiving the correct mentorship and kind of see them around the ecosystem after the program. So I think that's really what the Startup Bahrain community offers.
Now, I think this is an incorrect idea, but I think a lot of people might have it in their minds when they're thinking about businesses, entrepreneurship. They kind of think of a very cold, calculated, kind of very systemic atmosphere that doesn't have a lot of leeway for creativity, but I think it would be fair to say that that's a wrong assessment. So could you tell me a bit more about what you do in order to facilitate, for example, or to encourage innovation, creativity for the founders?
Yep, so what we try to do is basically make sure that they understand that what qualifies an idea to be innovative is the criteria of what defines a startup. So we kind of embed that correct definition of what a startup is very early on to make sure that they're being steered in the correct direction as they continue to build. So it has to be innovative, it has to be something that can scale beyond Bahrain into the GCC. It has to be something that is tech at the core of it. So it doesn't fall under the traditional business kind of framework. It has to be something that's a startup.
Wonderful. And I just want to go back slightly and talk about, for example, the role of partnerships. Like, for example, you've worked in collaboration with, for example, like universities. So how important is that collaboration in nurturing future founders and entrepreneurs in Bahrain?
I mean, it's 100% essential. Universities is where all this talent is concentrated, and you have a bunch of students that have the energy and drive to actually make these ideas happen. So it's more of embedding into our education that entrepreneurial mindset. So it's how do you teach students to have that skill of wanting to build and giving them the tools and resources and support programs that they need in order to pursue that path as a possible career path. It's no longer that universities are focused on how do we create just have graduate students that are going to join the job market, but how do we graduate students that are going to have and contribute to the job markets by creating new job opportunities?
Absolutely, and I'm sure you've also partnered with organizations like beyond universities, like government entities and private sector companies. How does that strengthen the work of Startup Bahrain?
I mean, ecosystems never thrive in isolation. I mean, collaboration is the whole point of it. And the Startup Bahrain UOB program is the biggest example of it. You had, for example, academic institutions such as UOB. You have governmental institutions such as, Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Finance and National Economy. You have development and funding bodies like Temkeen, the Labor Fund, Startup Bahrain, and you have a bunch of different organizations from the private sector like our lead partners, KFH, then we have GFH, DO, General Assembly, Reboot, American Express, Bahrain Development Bank. So all of these come together and they're unified behind a common goal of how exactly do we continue to embed entrepreneurship within our education system. So I think that kind of collaboration of private and public sector relationship is extremely important, and we see it in almost every successful ecosystem around the world.
Very well said. And specifically, I'd like to ask you about the role of collaboration with organizations like Temkeen and what role that plays in supporting the entrepreneurs and the startup growth.
I mean, Temkeen's role as a labor fund is to strengthen the private sector and empower Bahraini entrepreneurs. And that aligns with our role with Start Up Bahrain, but within the startup ecosystem. So we owe all of this momentum back to Temkeen and all of their support that enabled us to make sure that we lay out this infrastructure that we currently see within our ecosystem to make sure that we're able to help these founders throughout their entrepreneurial journey.
You know, when you're speaking, I can tell that you're someone who has a lot of passion and a lot of experience in the ecosystem of entrepreneurship here in Bahrain. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of trends kind of come and go over the years. Maybe some have stuck, maybe some haven't. What kind of trends do you kind of predict are going to shape the entrepreneurial ecosystem in the future?
I mean, I feel like it's a very obvious answer. It's definitely artificial intelligence. His Excellency Sheikh Salman bin Khalifa Al Khalifa, the Minister of Finance and National Economy, did mention in his keynote speech during the program that these technologies are going to be reshaping our economies. And we want Bahrain to lead that change instead of just participating in it. So as Bahrainis, we're always on trend and we're always quick to jump on these trends. So if there's ever a trend that I'd encourage everyone to jump in on is this whole artificial intelligence trend. And we've seen it in the program. There are a lot of students that have utilized AI within their startups, not just to make sure that their concepts revolve around AI, but also to use AI to build their solutions. So it's definitely something that I think will change how fast our ecosystem is moving in the next years.
Wonderful. And, you know, you've mentioned a couple of times, you know, that, and I absolutely agree with it. It's not particularly true in my case, but I do generally believe that we are a very entrepreneurial people here in Bahrain. And I imagine there's no shortage of people with very good, very unique ideas out there,
100%.
but maybe hesitating to take the first step. So, I mean, what advice would you give to young Bahrainis in that situation?
I mean, I'll quote again His Excellency, the Minister of Finance and National Economy. He really said, be proactive, be resilient, take risks, be unreasonably optimistic, because of course hesitation is normal, but that distance between an idea and actually having it be a startup venture is all a matter of kind of persevering through with your idea and being determined enough to actually see it come into fruition. So I think it's just a matter of really what's the worst thing that can happen. We have so much support within the ecosystem that even if there's any kind of setback or a challenge, you have people around you to help you get up again and kind of try again and reiterate and continue building until you actually succeed. So it's just a matter of, you know, push through. You'll see the lights at the end of the tunnel, as they say.
Absolutely, and I think we're very fortunate as Bahrainis that we have on every level, from, you know, government to even sometimes the private sectors, a lot of resources ready for people with the courage to reach out and kind of just utilize them.
Of course.
And lastly, I just wanted to ask you, the Startup Bahrain often speaks about empowering people to transform their ideas into impact. What does success look like for Startup Bahrain in the next 5 years?
I mean, just like you said, Khalid, we're very entrepreneurial people as Bahrainis. And I really think that what success will look like is to continue seeing that entrepreneurship spirit kind of embedded in that Bahraini identity even further. I mean, of course, the ministerial announcement in the program was to make sure that the next chapter of Start Up Bahrain will focus on youth and on students and how to kind of encourage entrepreneurship and have them pursue that as a career path beyond the programs that they participate in. So starting from the next semester, Start Up Bahrain UOB is a mandatory graduation requirement for every student in the College of Business. So it's more of giving them the access that even after you graduate, you've already built your startup, and that's a viable career path that you can now choose. So I think success is kind of seeing our ecosystem continue to expand, and hopefully to see a lot of more familiar faces around from the students that we've worked with.
Hopefully. I mean, I think there's kind of almost like now no excuse to not be an entrepreneur in Bahrain.
Exactly.
No, it's wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us and, illuminating that this is a very viable path for Bahrainis out there with the entrepreneurial spirit, which is quite a lot of us, actually. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Khalid.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have even more coming up here on Bahrain Now. Welcome back. We continue highlighting the impact of Startup Bahrain by shedding light on the journey of this year's edition winner, University of Bahrain student Fatma Ali. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. First of all, congratulations on winning the Startup Bahrain UOB competition. Could you briefly introduce your project and what were the problems it aimed to solve?
So thank you so much. So Rescue is a medical card that uses NFC technology. So once you tap on it using your phone, you get access to all the medical information needed in case of an emergency. And the problem it mainly solves is the difficulty to accessing critical medical information during emergencies.
Wonderful. And could you tell us what inspired you to focus on that particular challenge?
So the founder, Mahra, have been through a situation about a year ago with her late grandfather. She and her family were put into a difficult situation where he was sick and they had to manage all of the medical paperwork, making sure his medications did not overlap with each other, having more than one doctor's opinion. So it was difficult navigating through all of this, in addition to the stress of having a family member that is sick. So this was the main inspiration to this.
Absolutely, and I think that that's a brilliant idea to focus on and a very human one. God rest his soul, and it sounds like it's something very personal to the founder. And could you tell us a little bit now what makes this solution so different to existing alternatives?
So existing alternatives are mainly, or the ones that we've looked up, are bracelets. And initially, we wanted to do a bracelet too, but what we found out is that we're targeting different groups, and not everyone has the same tastes. And we've interviewed many potential customers who explicitly said that we wouldn't wear this if it didn't match our style, even if it's going to save our life. So the idea of a bracelet is really hard to make people adopt to, and our product here is a card, so it's easier to convince people to just get it and have it in their wallets, in their purse, and it's easier to have it all the time. And on the opposite side, a bracelet, you can forget to wear it. So this is the main, let's say, difference. We've also included additional features for our card that is not available in the bracelets themselves, which is having family members being able to input the information for, let's say, elderly people or kids within their families. And I think most importantly is our vision, because for many competitors of ours, this is their final product. While for us, this is just the start, the card is just the start. We aim for something much bigger, which is to have an interconnected healthcare system where medical information is accessible within any system.
Absolutely, and I wish you all the best with that. I think that is a brilliant idea. And like you said, I think it's either going to come down to, fashion. Some people just aren't going to like the way it looks. And I think also a lot of people struggle with the sensation of something. Yeah. Like I, for example, won't even wear a watch. You know what I mean? I'm just not someone who likes having that stuff there. So, I think a card would definitely solve that issue, and it's a lot more convenient. And now I'm wondering, was there any particular experience throughout the development of this idea that gave you a bit of a challenge that you kind of had to overcome?
It's not in the development, it's more of the attachment that we had to the original idea, which was a bracelet that had so many features, because it was a technical event, we wanted to put all of the cool features and show it as a very highly technical product. Having to niche down or drill down to the core, solving the core problem was a challenge for us, because we were so attached to the original idea, and we also had to let go of a lot of ego of trying to build something very cool.
And I'm wondering now, how has this competition changed your understanding of what it means to be an entrepreneur?
So I think mainly during this competition, students get to experience something that they can't experience in their classrooms, which it's a competition with a very limited time. You have to prove yourself, prove your idea, prove your product within this short period of time. So the pressure creates it challenges you in a way that all of your flaws suddenly resurface because you're under pressure, and you get to learn a lot about yourself as an entrepreneur. So you're not just building the product, you're instead building yourself with a product during this time. And also having access to a lot of mentorship, and thanks to Start Up Bahrain for having a diverse group of mentors who many of them built startups before and have their experience, and having real life examples right in front of us makes us believe or encourages us into thinking that we are capable of doing the same too.
Wonderfully said. And I have to say, I really liked what you said, that under pressure, you have to work with the product and kind of like yourself as well. Because I think people often forget, like, you're kind of, as an employee, you're kind of just following someone else's orders. You're kind of in the forefront of everything that's happening with entrepreneurship. And speaking of, how do you plan to measure the impact of this project if it's inshallah launched commercially?
Inshallah, I think the main thing that we would measure as the main impact that we're measuring is how are people using it or not, basically. So if it's something that they just purchase and leave it in their drawer, that we didn't achieve our goal, we didn't provide value for people, so therefore we didn't create the impact that we want. So it's whether the people that purchased the card are using it or not.
Wonderful. And how valuable was the support provided through Start Up Bahrain, the University of Bahrain, and Tamkeen during this journey?
It was increasingly extremely valuable because you don't find a place or a room that has 500 students, all building startups at the same time, practicing their pitches. It's not an environment that you get to experience every day. It's very different from building in a coffee shop, let's say, or in a house. So I think the environment itself creates such a great, let's say, provides the best experience for a person to build their startup in. And as I mentioned, the diverse group of mentors, they were so diverse that we were able to find someone within the same sector and gain wonderful insights about the sector itself.
Wonderful. It sounds like entrepreneurs in Bahrain they're spoiled for choices, basically. There's a lot of resources they can access, and that always makes me feel pretty happy to hear. And what's been the most rewarding part of this experience for you as a person?
So, as I said, Mahra had this idea about a year ago, and we've discussed it back and forth. It never came to life. We've never executed anything. So seeing her dream finally come to life and having the actual product, actual working system is something that I'm beyond grateful for. And I think this is the most rewarding part of the whole experience.
It's very heartwarming. Thank you for sharing that. And what advice would you give to other University of Bahrain students who are considering participating next year?
I think they have to, first and foremost, have an absolute blast. You have to don't let the pressure overwhelm you. Instead, make it it's a wonderful experience, so have fun in it. But also focus on the core problem, core solution. Don't focus on the extra stuff and discuss it for a very, very long time. And make sure you're communicating the idea clearly, because I think this is the most important part. If you didn't communicate the idea clearly, then no one's going to understand it. So, yeah.
And lastly, I want to really reiterate that winning this competition is a major achievement, and congratulations again. But beyond the trophy, I mean, what does this recognition mean for your team and for you in the future?
So obviously we entered the competition to win from day one, but also beyond the trophy, which we're very grateful for, we're very grateful that we've won first place. I think for this idea in particular, Mahra had a lot of setbacks in terms of applying to different programs and getting rejected. So seeing the idea winning first place is very, let's say, it's validation for us as a team that this problem is relevant, it exists, and it won for first place. And I think everyone who participated in the program in general is a winner because they've built their MVPs, they have something to work on, and I think this is the most rewarding part of the experience for every student that participated.
Wonderful. It's great because earlier we were talking about, for example, how, Bahrainis have the entrepreneurial spirit, and like to see it in front of me and to see it in the passion in the way that you're speaking about this and everything is just a demonstration of what the Bahraini youth are capable of when they genuinely put their mind to it and take advantage of the resources available. I want to thank you again so much for your time, and congratulations again. This is a massive achievement.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We have even more coming up here on Bahrain Now. And now let's take a look at what's going on beyond the studio in the following report.
In collaboration with Zayed National Museum, Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities celebrated the historic ties between the Kingdom of Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates at the Bahrain National Museum. The event featured a presentation entitled Zayed National Museum, celebrating the ancient ties between Majan and Dilmun, followed by a screening of the documentary A Bronze Age Boat Sails Again. This event marks the first collaboration between the Bahrain National Museum and Zayed National Museum. It reflects the long-standing historical and cultural ties between the Kingdom of Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, as well as the two countries' shared commitment to preserving their rich heritage and strengthening the dialogue between the past and the present.
This evening we have this event which is very unique. It's highlighting the collaboration between Bahrain Authority for Culture and Antiquities with Zayed National Museum. Actually, if we are talking about this event, which is we present the connections between Dilmun and Magan, which Bahrain and United Arab Emirates, long time ago, we are talking about 4,300 years of history, of relations in terms of culture, in terms of economy, in terms of commercial trade between Bahrain and Emirates, between Dilmun and Magan. We have good collaboration with Bahrain, with Zayed National Museum. We are planning to have more joint archaeological mission in Bahrain with Zayed National Museum. We are going to have joint research. So this is not the beginning. This is we have a lot of collaboration with or between these two institutions.
We're very happy to be in Bahrain today to showcase the documentary that talks about the Magan boat that is on display on Zayed National Museum. This project has been 4 years in the making prior to the opening of the museum, and it was in collaboration with Zayed University, NYU Abu Dhabi, and Zayed National Museum. And we're very happy today to showcase it today in the museum here in Bahrain. I
think we're very proud to be sharing this documentary film that we've made about the Magan boat with Bahrain, ancient Dilmun, because it's about the ties and how we were connected in the past through these amazing boats.
This is considered one of the most important regional events that we have this year, with Zayed Museum opening only in December of 2025. So in its first year of operation, we are very happy to have this very close collaboration. First, at the National Museum of Zayed National Museum, we have 19 artifacts on display from the Tailus and Dilmun eras. So when you visit Abu Dhabi, hopefully you can see the artifacts of Bahrain being displayed in one of the most beautiful halls. Also, we have a long-term plan with Zayed Museum in terms of research and also collaborations in archaeology, combining the two civilizations of the Majan and Dilmun. I would like to always invite people to come to the museum. We always have temporary exhibitions and many events throughout the year. So this is a place for all, and it is a place for any time of the year.
The MENA Center for Investments, in collaboration with UN Trade and Development, hosted the Bahrain launch of the World Investment Report 2026 at the Swiss Bell Hotel Sif under the theme International Investment in a Turbulent Era. The event, led by Dr. Hana Abdallah Kano, director of the MENA Center for Investment, brought together representatives from government and semi-government organizations, the financial sector, academic, and the private sector to discuss the latest global investment trends and their implications for the region. The MENA Center for Investment remains committed to promoting informed dialogue, supporting investment knowledge, and creating platforms that connect regional stakeholders with global perspectives on economic development and investment.
We have seeing some encouraging trends in FDI in the sense that capital is still flowing, it is going up. But there are also some growing challenges in the way people invest. We are seeing growing fragmentation, increasing security concerns. But also this is a time when FDI is probably more important than ever because the global economy is changing through technology, and that know-how, that investment is of greater strategic value than ever before.
This lecture is very important regarding international investment this year and the financial situation in the world and the difficulties facing in investment. And he gave a very good introduction about investment. And he said in Bahrain, trend is very good, it is going on. However, we have very important issue now. This war going on, it is not yet ended. We don't need this kind of situation. The war should go over because if there is any war, this will affect Bahrain and the whole Gulf, the whole area. The whole area. War is not needed. We look for peace. We want peace. We want peaceful world, and in a peaceful world, there will be very good investment for everyone, for every country. And investment needs peace, peaceful life, and we have to work very hard for this. Fortunately, all Gulf countries and Bahrain, they are working very hard towards peaceful situation in the area. We need this, and this will make very good infrastructure for investment.
Today meeting about the report, World Environmental Investment Report 2026. And this report came in very important time, as you know, regarding to the conflicts and geopolitics changes globally. And I will focus on the SDGs industries, Sustainable Development Goals. If I compare between last year and this year, I found the renewable energy still the percentage decrease for this year almost decreased 5%, and last year almost 4%. While all countries now try to shift to alternative energies for wind energy, solar energy, and so on. But unfortunately, this sector decreased last year and this year. With regard to infrastructure, increased more than last year, almost more than 60%, and last year it was around 50%, especially for the communication sector. With regard to water, sanitation, and hygiene sector, also decreased 5% if we compare it with the last year. With regard to food sector, increased almost 70%. And health and remediation sector also decrease. In general, the sustainable development sector, not all of them increase, most of them decrease, and we should emphasize on alternative energies while the countries try to shift from fossil fuel to alternative energies. This report tries to put some solutions and conclude with 5 recommendations. One of the recommendations focus on the policies, how we can develop new policies for industries to improve the investment in the renewable energy sector.
That brings us to the end of today's episode. As always, thank you for watching, and be sure to reach out to us on our social media accounts shown below. We love to hear from you. Until next time, this has been Khalid Hidris. Good night and God bless.